Chosen one, the thief has been caught. I repeat, the thief has been caught. What was taken from you in silence has been seen by heaven, recorded by God, and marked for return. This is not about one person alone, but about every hand that wrongfully touched what belonged to you. Deception, betrayal, unpaid debts, manipulation, and systems that drained you while you tried to stay faithful. Hear this clearly, chosen one. You are not watching this by accident. This moment was scheduled by divine appointment. Heaven aligned your steps to hear this word, because a shift is taking place right now. Anointed one, you are standing at the edge of restitution. The season where loss had the final word is ending. Scripture declares in Proverbs chapter 6 verse 31 that when the thief is found, restoration is not optional, it is enforced. God is not negotiating, He is executing justice. What the enemy meant to break you has instead activated a supernatural return. Your faith was not wasted, your patience was not ignored, your tears were not forgotten. There is a divine reckoning unfolding, and wealth that was delayed is being redirected. This is the hour where fairness is enforced by heaven, where balance is restored, and where what left your hands will find its way back multiplied. Stay anchored in trust. Stay aligned in belief. And if this speaks to the injustice you've endured, type 777 in the comments as agreement. Write the city or place where you are listening from as a declaration that justice will reach you exactly where you stand. Stay with this message until the very end, because each word is designed to strengthen your faith, settle your spirit, and fully anchor this sevenfold restitution in your heart. Chosen one. You didn't arrive at this moment by chance. Something far deeper than curiosity brought you here. There has been a movement in the unseen, a decision rendered beyond human courts, and your name was included in that motion. What you are feeling right now, that tightening in your chest, that quiet sense of anticipation mixed with exhaustion, it is not random. It is the echo of heaven intervening in a story that has carried far too much injustice for far too long. This is not merely encouragement. This is notification that an order has been issued in the spirit, and it concerns everything that was taken from you unfairly. For years, anointed one, you have lived with the strange weight of loss that never quite made sense. You replay moments in your mind and still can't understand how things kept slipping through your hands. Money you earned honestly vanished through deception. Trust you extended was abused. Effort you poured out faithfully was rewarded with silence, while others benefited from what you built. It wasn't just financial loss, it was emotional strain, humiliation, the quiet shame of wondering why doing the right thing seemed to cost you so much. You smiled in public, but privately you carried the ache of knowing something had been stolen from your life. There were moments you questioned yourself. You asked whether you were naive for believing people, whether integrity was a mistake in a world that rewards shortcuts. You worked harder, prayed longer, stayed patient, and still watched doors close without explanation. Bills appeared faster than solutions. Emergencies erased savings. Opportunities passed you by while less qualified hands received what you had labored for. It felt like trying to fill a bucket you couldn't see, only to realize it was full of holes you never drilled. That constant cycle, gain, loss, repeat, wears on the soul, and heaven has not ignored that weariness. Chosen one. There is a reason the injustice cuts so deeply. It is because you were never meant to normalize it. Your spirit knew something was wrong, even when your mind tried to explain it away. You cried out, sometimes aloud, sometimes in silence, asking why the thief seemed to prosper while you struggled just to stay afloat. You wondered why obedience felt expensive. You looked at your reflection and mourned years consumed by battles you never volunteered for. That grief was real, that fatigue was earned, and it has been witnessed. Now hear this clearly, because this is where the shift begins. The season of unanswered questions is closing. The investigation in the unseen is complete. What was hidden has been exposed. The one responsible for the losses, whether through manipulation, exploitation, deception, or systemic injustice, has been identified. And when the thief is found, the matter does not remain symbolic. A spiritual law is activated, not a suggestion, not a possibility, a requirement. Heaven does not overlook theft, and it does not spiritualize injustice away. This is why the language of this moment feels different. There is authority in it, precision, finality. Heaven is not asking for cooperation from what stole from you. It is enforcing restitution. This is not about revenge. It is about balance being restored. When God steps in as enforcer, circumstances shift, people feel pressure they cannot explain, and situations that were stuck begin to loosen. What refused to move suddenly has to comply, not because you begged, but because justice demanded it. I want to speak personally here, because this is not theory. I have walked seasons where loss felt constant and explanations were scarce. I remember staring at numbers that didn't add up, replaying decisions that seemed right at the time, wondering how obedience could lead to depletion. I learned that some losses are not lessons, they are theft. And theft demands restoration, not acceptance. When I stopped internalizing blame for what was taken unjustly, something shifted. The weight lifted, clarity returned, and doors I stopped knocking on opened on their own. Chosen one. Your situation is not beyond that reach. What was delayed is not denied. What was stolen is not forgotten. Heaven is applying pressure now, not to you, but to what withheld from you. Systems that benefited from your silence are being confronted. People who walked away with what wasn't theirs are being stirred. Situations you thought were final are being revisited. This is how divine justice works. Quietly at first, invisibly, then suddenly. And understand this, the return is not minimal. Heaven does not operate on one-for-one compensation. There is a divine multiplier attached to wrongful loss. Time stolen is not just returned, it is redeemed. Resources taken are not merely replaced, they are increased. Honor delayed is not slowly restored, it is elevated. This is why the feeling in your spirit is not just relief, it is anticipation. Something more than replacement is forming. You are not imagining the shift in atmosphere around your life. Conversations are changing. Opportunities are reappearing in unexpected forms. Ideas are resurfacing with new clarity. Even your posture is changing, less defensive, more grounded. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. Heaven is repositioning you to receive what is being released. And it requires your agreement, not your striving. This is the moment where you stop accepting loss as your portion, where you stop spiritualizing injustice into just another test, where you allow righteous clarity to rise without bitterness. You are not angry, you are awake. You are not demanding, you are standing. And as you stand, something ancient and authoritative responds. Take a breath here, chosen one. Let the truth settle. The season where the thief ran unchecked is over. The season where you silently absorbed the cost is ending. What was taken will not remain missing. Not some of it, not most of it, all of it. And the atmosphere knows it. Chosen one. I need you to stay present with this moment, because what comes next is where many people emotionally break down, not from pain, but from release. For a long time you have carried more than loss. You carried confusion. You carried the quiet humiliation of being wronged and having no voice to defend yourself. You carried the frustration of knowing something was taken from you unjustly while being told to stay patient, stay humble, stay silent. And you did. You endured. You swallowed the unfairness. You kept moving even when the weight felt unbearable. But endurance was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to bring you to a turning point. There were nights you replayed everything. You asked yourself how it happened. How did you trust the wrong person? How did you sign that agreement? How did you get trapped in a system that drained you instead of rewarded you? You felt foolish at times, ashamed at others, not because you were wrong, but because you were honest in a world that exploited honesty. That kind of pain cuts deeper than financial loss. It attacks identity. It makes you question your discernment, your worth, your timing. And yet even in those moments, something inside you refused to harden. That was not weakness. That was preservation. Chosen one. The humiliation you endured was not a reflection of your value. It was evidence of what you carry. Thieves do not target empty houses. They target substance. They target supply. They target those who have something worth stealing. The fact that you were taken advantage of does not mean you were careless. It means you had access, resources, favor, or potential that someone else wanted to possess without paying the price. And heaven has been watching every transaction. There is a grief that comes with prolonged injustice. It is the grief of lost years, the grief of delayed progress, the grief of imagining where you could have been if things had not been stolen, blocked, or sabotaged. You don't just grieve money, you grieve momentum. You grieve opportunities that slipped by while you were recovering. You grieve the version of yourself that existed before survival mode took over. And God does not dismiss that grief. He accounts for it. This is why restitution is not just about finances. It is about dignity. It is about restoring your confidence to trust yourself again. It is about returning your authority, the authority that was eroded when you were forced to explain losses that were never your fault. When heaven enforces repayment, it restores more than resources. It restores posture. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for being affected. You stop minimizing what you went through. Something in you straightens. I want to speak honestly here, not as someone delivering distant prophecy, but as someone who has lived through seasons where injustice felt endless. There were times I questioned whether God was silent or simply absent. Times when I watched people walk away with benefits while I was left with consequences. Times when fairness felt like a myth reserved for other people's lives. But I learned this silence is not inactivity. Delay is not denial, and exposure always comes before enforcement. Chosen one exposure has happened. What was hidden has been seen. What was dismissed has been documented. The thief has been found, and that changes everything. When accountability enters the picture, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, pressure reverses. The weight moves off your shoulders and onto what stole from you. Situations that once ignored you now feel unstable. People who were comfortable withholding begin to feel restless. Systems that benefited from your disadvantage start to crack. This is not superstition. This is spiritual cause and effect. And here is where your faith matters, not loud faith, not performative faith, but grounded trust. Trust that what was lost is not gone. Trust that nothing taken unjustly is outside the reach of restoration. Trust that God does not forget debt. He does not overlook theft. He does not confuse patience with permission. Justice may move quietly, but when it moves, it is thorough. I need you to hear this clearly. You are not getting back something. You are getting back everything. The money, the time, the opportunities, the peace, the reputation, the confidence. Even the lessons that came through pain will now work for you instead of against you. Nothing will be wasted. Nothing will remain unresolved. The narrative is shifting from survival to settlement. There is also something else happening internally. You may have noticed it already. Your anger has changed. It is no longer chaotic or bitter. It is focused, calm, resolved. That is righteous clarity. It is the moment you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start declaring, "This ends now." That shift is powerful. It signals readiness. It tells heaven you are prepared not just to receive, but to steward what is coming back. Chosen one restitution requires participation, not striving alignment. You stop agreeing with loss. You stop normalizing depletion. You stop narrating your life as though injustice is your identity. You speak differently now. You expect differently. You hold your ground. Silence no longer protects the thief. Awareness does. You are not begging. You are collecting. You are not hoping. You are standing on what is owed. That posture activates movement. Doors open without explanation. Payments arrive through unexpected channels. Debts dissolve. Opportunities reappear in upgraded form. People who disappeared resurface with accountability they cannot avoid. This is how enforcement looks, not dramatic, but undeniable. Take another breath, chosen one. Feel the shift in your body, the tightness easing, the heaviness lifting, the certainty settling. You have endured injustice, yes, but you have also arrived at recompense. The chapter where loss defined your story is closing. What comes next carries balance, authority, and restoration, not as a reward for suffering, but as a correction to what should never have happened in the first place. And now heaven is making it right. There is a moment in every long season of injustice when the soul stops asking for explanations and starts recognizing authority. You are standing in that moment now. Something inside you has shifted from endurance to certainty. You are no longer merely hoping things will change. You are sensing that they already have. That inner knowing is not imagination. It is alignment. It is what happens when heaven's decision finally reaches your awareness. For a long time you lived with an invisible pressure, the pressure of always having to recover. Recover financially, recover emotionally, recover spiritually. Every time you stood back up, something else knocked you down. It made life feel unstable, as if you could never fully build because you were always repairing. That constant recovery mode trained your nervous system to expect loss, even in moments of gain. You learned to brace yourself instead of celebrating. You learned to stay cautious instead of confident. And none of that was because you lacked faith. It was because loss had been repeated. What many people don't understand is that repeated injustice rewires how you move through the world. You become careful with trust. You hesitate before investing not just money, but belief. You second-guess opportunities because you've seen how quickly things can be taken away. You stop dreaming freely, not because you stopped believing, but because dreaming started to feel dangerous. That is the deeper theft most people never acknowledge. And heaven is not only addressing what was taken from your hands, but what was taken from your expectations. This is why restitution is showing up now, not earlier, not later, now. You have reached the point where restoration will not destabilize you. Earlier return might have been consumed by fear. Later it might have been met with numbness. But now you are steady. You have been refined by pressure without becoming bitter. You have learned discernment without losing compassion. That balance matters. Heaven does not restore into chaos. It restores into readiness. Anointed One. There is a reason the language of enforcement is being used in this season. For too long you internalized loss as something you needed to spiritually process instead of something that needed to be corrected. You tried to find meaning in what was simply wrong. You searched for lessons in what was simply unjust. Wisdom has its place, but justice has its moment, and that moment has arrived. When the thief is identified, everything changes. Accountability enters the picture. The dynamic flips. You are no longer the one absorbing the cost. The weight transfers, and what once resisted you now encounters resistance itself. This is why things around you may feel unsettled lately. Conversations feel tense. Situations feel unstable. People seem restless or reactive without clear reason. That is pressure. That is exposure. That is the unseen adjusting to an order that has already been signed. I want to speak carefully here because this is where faith becomes grounded, not abstract. Restitution does not always come in one obvious form. Sometimes it arrives through sudden release from obligations that drained you. Sometimes it comes through opportunities that bypass old gatekeepers entirely. Sometimes it shows up as favor that accelerates what used to take years. And sometimes it comes quietly, a debt erased, a contract dissolved, a burden lifted without apology or announcement. But however it comes, the effect is the same. You breathe differently. You begin to notice that you are no longer shrinking. You speak with more clarity. You say no without guilt. You recognize red flags faster. You feel less pressure to explain yourself. That internal restoration is just as important as external return, because money without authority repeats old cycles. Authority without money creates frustration. Heaven is aligning both. There is also something deeply personal happening now. You are being separated from the identity that was formed in survival. That identity kept you alive, but it was never meant to define you. Survival taught you resilience, but it also taught you limitation. You learned how to make do, how to stretch, how to endure. Now you are learning how to receive without bracing. That transition can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, because peace feels strange when you've lived in tension for so long. If you find yourself feeling cautious, even in moments of hope, be gentle with yourself. That caution was learned under pressure. It does not disqualify you. It simply needs time to unlearn. Restoration is not only about receiving what returns, it is about relearning how to hold it without fear. Heaven is patient with that process. There will be moments in this season where you are tempted to downplay what is happening, to call it coincidence, to tell yourself not to expect too much. That impulse is understandable, but it is not required anymore. You are allowed to expect fairness. You are allowed to believe that what was taken unjustly will be returned fully. You are allowed to imagine a future that is not constantly interrupted by loss. The authority you are stepping into now is quiet but firm. It does not need to announce itself. It simply stands. And when you stand in it, things respond, situations adjust, people reconsider, paths open, not because you demanded loudly, but because you no longer consent to less. This is where many people misunderstand spiritual authority. They think it is loud. It is not. It is settled. It is the absence of panic. It is the refusal to negotiate with injustice any longer. It is the calm certainty that says, this does not belong in my life anymore. And when that certainty aligns with heaven's verdict, movement follows. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not disqualified by what happened to you. In fact, your endurance has positioned you uniquely for this moment. You know the cost of loss, and therefore you will steward return wisely. You know the pain of depletion, and therefore you will protect abundance carefully. Nothing about your journey has been wasted. Take a moment here. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breathing slow. Feel the ground beneath you. This is stability returning. This is balance being restored. The chapter marked by theft, humiliation, and repeated loss is closing not with drama, but with authority. and the life ahead of you will not be built on what was taken, but on what has been rightfully restored. There is a deeper layer of restoration unfolding now, one that many people never reach because they stop listening once relief begins. I want you to stay attentive here, chosen one, because this is where restitution matures into transformation. Getting back what was stolen is powerful, but learning how to live without the shadow of loss is where freedom actually settles. Heaven is not only correcting what happened to you, it is reshaping how you move forward so the cycle cannot repeat. For a long time, your decisions were influenced by memory. Memory of loss, memory of betrayal, memory of sudden reversals. Even when good things appeared, your mind quietly asked, "How long will this last?" That question was not doubt, it was conditioning. When life trains you to expect collapse, vigilance becomes instinct. You planned for worst-case scenarios. You held back joy. You avoided expansion because expansion had previously made you visible to thieves. This survival wisdom kept you safe, but it also kept you small. Now the environment is changing, and your instincts must change with it. Restoration does not thrive in constant alert. It requires presence. It requires the courage to believe that stability is possible. This is why heaven often restores in stages. First, the pressure lifts. Then clarity returns. Then authority settles. And finally, peace becomes normal. You are somewhere between clarity and authority right now. You can feel it. You are no longer frantic, but you are not fully at ease yet either. That is transition. Anointed one, there is a reason God did not rush this process. If restoration arrived before your inner posture changed, you would have protected it with fear instead of wisdom. Fear tightens, wisdom steadies. Fear hoards, wisdom circulates. Heaven is preparing you to steward what comes back without gripping it, without suspicion, without constantly looking over your shoulder. That preparation is happening internally before it manifests externally. You may notice that some relationships feel different now. People who once had access to you no longer feel entitled to your time, your energy, or your generosity. That is not arrogance. That is discernment returning to its rightful place. Loss teaches boundaries the hard way. Restoration teaches boundaries the healthy way. You are learning to say yes slowly and no calmly. That shift protects what is coming. There is also a subtle grief that sometimes surfaces during restoration, grief for the version of you that lived too long in survival. You may feel sadness for how tired you were, how isolated you felt, how much you carried alone. Allow that grief. It does not mean you are ungrateful for what is changing. It means you are integrating the past instead of dragging it forward. Integration is healing. Suppression is not. I want to speak to the part of you that still fears disappointment. The part that whispers, "What if this doesn't fully happen?" That voice is not an enemy, it is a memory. And memories lose power when they are acknowledged without obedience. You don't need to fight that voice. You simply don't need to follow it anymore. Authority is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear decide. This is where trust becomes grounded, not idealistic. You are no longer trusting blindly. You are trusting with discernment, experience, and maturity. You have seen enough to know what misalignment feels like. You have lived enough to recognize warning signs early. Restoration does not erase your wisdom, it activates it. You will not repeat old patterns because you are no longer the same person. Chosen one, there is also a spiritual recalibration happening in how you relate to provision. In survival seasons, money feels like oxygen, urgent, fragile, constantly at risk. In restoration seasons, provision becomes flow, responsive, timed, sufficient. You stop chasing and start aligning. You stop forcing and start receiving. This does not make you passive, it makes you strategic. You become selective instead of desperate. That alone changes outcomes. I have watched this shift happen in my own life and in the lives of others. The moment you stop moving from fear of loss, opportunities begin to approach you differently. People sense stability. Systems respond to confidence. Doors open not because you pushed harder, but because you arrived grounded. That is not mysticism, it is alignment. There may still be moments where things move slower than you expect. Do not interpret that as resistance. Sometimes heaven slows the pace to let your nervous system catch up with your new reality. Peace must be embodied, not just declared. If things are unfolding steadily rather than explosively, that is not delay, that is sustainability. You are also learning how to recognize true abundance. Abundance is not excess without purpose. It is sufficiency with freedom. It is having enough without panic. It is being able to give without resentment and receive without guilt. Those capacities are being restored in you now. That is why this season feels quieter than you imagined. Quiet does not mean inactive. It means stable. Pay attention to how your body responds lately. Less tension, less urgency, fewer racing thoughts. These are signs that your system is exiting crisis mode. That alone is a form of restitution. You cannot build a future while constantly bracing for impact. Heaven is giving you space to breathe so you can build wisely. There will be opportunities ahead that look similar to past traps, familiar language, familiar promises, familiar pressure. But you will notice something different in yourself. You are not rushed. You are not flattered into compliance. You are not afraid to walk away. That is authority. And authority prevents future theft before it ever happens. Chosen One restoration is not just about what comes back to you. It is about what leaves you. The shame, the self-doubt, the habit of over-explaining, the reflex to accept less to avoid conflict. These things cannot coexist with what is coming, and you are releasing them sometimes consciously, sometimes naturally, as your identity recalibrates. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you were before loss taught you to shrink. That original confidence, that grounded presence, that clarity of purpose, it is resurfacing now, tempered by wisdom. This is the version of you that can hold restoration without fear and authority without arrogance. Stay with this process. Let it unfold at its own pace. Do not measure it against other people's timelines or testimonies. Your restoration is precise because your losses were specific. Heaven is not generalizing your healing, it is addressing it thoroughly. And as this chapter continues to close, you will notice something unmistakable. Life feels less like a battle and more like movement, less like defense and more like direction. That is how you will know restoration is no longer approaching, it is settling. There is one more layer of this season that needs to be spoken into clearly, because this is where many people unknowingly interrupt what heaven is completing. Restitution does not only restore what was taken, it reorders how power flows in your life. And when power shifts, resistance often surfaces one last time, not to stop you, but to test whether you will retreat into old habits or stand in new authority. Chosen One. You may notice that just as things begin to stabilize, subtle pressure tries to return. Not in the same obvious ways as before, but through thoughts, memories, or familiar emotional patterns. A quiet voice may say, "Don't get too hopeful," or "You've seen this before," or "It never lasts." This is not prophecy. This is residue. Residue of a long season where disappointment trained your expectations, and residue must be cleared, not obeyed. The difference now is that you are not facing this from a place of weakness. You are not trying to believe your way out of loss. You are standing in a season where heaven has already moved. That means your role is no longer to fight, it is to hold ground. Holding ground requires discernment more than effort. It requires consistency more than intensity. It requires trust that does not fluctuate with circumstances. There is a temptation in restoration seasons to rush, to make up for lost time, to overextend because you feel behind, to say yes to everything because you fear another drought. That urgency is understandable, but it is not required. What was delayed does not need to be forced. What is restored does not need to be chased. The same authority that enforced return will sustain it. I want to speak to you honestly here, as someone who has watched people sabotage their own restitution without realizing it. They did not lose what was restored, they leaked it. They leaked it through exhaustion, through overcommitment, through reopening doors that should have stayed closed, through confusing generosity with access. Restoration requires boundaries, not walls, clarity, not isolation. Chosen one. You are not obligated to explain your healing. You are not required to justify your progress. You do not owe anyone access simply because they shared your struggle. Some people were part of your survival season, not your settled one. That does not make them enemies, it makes them seasonal. And discerning seasons is part of stewarding restoration. You may feel a strange mixture of gratitude and grief right now. Gratitude for what is shifting, grief for what it cost. That combination is holy. It means you are integrating the journey instead of denying it. Do not rush past that grief. It honors what you endured without letting it define you. It marks closure. There is also a deeper confidence forming, not loud, not performative, but rooted. You are beginning to trust your decisions again. You are noticing that you don't second-guess yourself as much, that you don't replay conversations endlessly, that you don't feel the need to over-prepare for every outcome. That is peace returning to your nervous system. Peace is not passivity. It is regulated strength. As peace settles, your discernment sharpens. You are quicker to sense misalignment. You feel discomfort sooner instead of later. You recognize pressure tactics for what they are. And most importantly, you no longer feel guilty for protecting your space. That guilt was learned when boundaries were punished. It does not belong in your restored life. This is also where provision begins to feel different, less dramatic, less urgent, more consistent, less just in time, more already arranged. That shift can feel anticlimactic if you expected fireworks. But stability is the real miracle. The ability to plan without fear, to rest without anxiety, to build without bracing for collapse. That is what many people pray for without knowing how rare it is. Chosen one. There is a maturity being recognized in you now. You have proven that loss did not corrupt you, that bitterness did not harden you, that power did not intoxicate you. That combination makes you trustworthy in the unseen, and trust leads to entrustment. Not all at once, not recklessly, but steadily. You may notice that your language is changing. You speak less about what went wrong and more about what is aligning. You tell fewer stories about loss and more about direction. That is not denial, that is forward movement. You are no longer trying to be understood by the past. You are positioning yourself for the future. If moments of fear resurface, do not panic. Fear loses its authority when it is seen clearly. It may knock, but it does not have the keys anymore. You do. And every time you choose steadiness over urgency, clarity over chaos, rest over striving, you reinforce the new order. There is also something important happening in how you relate to God in this season. You are no longer praying from desperation. You are praying from alignment. Your prayers are quieter, but more confident, less pleading, more agreement. That shift matters. It reflects trust, not distance. You are learning that divine provision does not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply arrives and stays. And staying is the miracle. Sustaining is the miracle. Being able to enjoy what you receive without fear of loss is the miracle. Chosen one. The chapter you are closing was heavy. It required endurance most people will never understand. But the chapter you are entering requires presence. It requires you to be here, not braced, not guarded, not rushing, but grounded. This is not the season to prove anything. It is the season to live, to build carefully, to receive fully, to move intentionally, to trust that what has been corrected will not revert. The thief does not return to houses that are settled, ordered, and guarded by clarity, and you are no longer the same house you were before. Stand where you are, breathe where you are. Let restoration finish its work, not just around you, but within you. There comes a moment when restoration no longer feels like something approaching you, but something you are standing inside of. It is subtle at first, not loud, not dramatic. Just a quiet realization that life is no longer pushing against you the way it used to. The resistance that once met every step has eased. The constant tension has softened, and you begin to understand that what changed was not only circumstances, but jurisdiction. You are no longer living under the authority of loss. For a long time, loss spoke with a loud voice in your life. It dictated your choices, your pace, your expectations. It told you when to stop, when to settle, when to be grateful for less. Even when good appeared, loss stood nearby, reminding you of what could go wrong. That voice shaped seasons, it shaped habits, it shaped identity, but its authority has expired, and authority once expired only continues if it is obeyed. Chosen one. This is where awareness becomes protection. Not vigilance rooted in fear, but awareness rooted in truth. You are learning to recognize when an old pattern tries to reassert itself, not to fight it, but to decline it. You don't argue with expired authority, you simply stop responding to it. And when you stop responding, it dissolves. You may notice now that situations which once would have overwhelmed you no longer carry the same weight. Challenges still exist, but they do not dominate your inner world. You assess instead of panic. You respond instead of react. You move deliberately instead of urgently. This is not because life has become perfect. It is because you are no longer living in survival mode. You are living from stability. There is a profound difference. Stability does not mean nothing shakes you. It means nothing owns you. It means circumstances can change without uprooting your center. It means provision can fluctuate without threatening your sense of safety. It means opinions can surface without defining your worth. That kind of grounding cannot be stolen because it is not external. It is internal authority aligned with truth. You earned this steadiness through endurance, through nights where you kept going without answers, through days where you showed up without assurance, through seasons where faith was not emotional but intentional. And now that steadiness is becoming your default state. I want to acknowledge something important here. Sometimes when restitution completes its work, there is a surprising emptiness that follows, not a bad emptiness, but a quiet one. The fight is over, and your body does not yet know what to do without it. The struggle that once gave your day's structure has ended, and now there is space. That space is not loss. It is invitation. An invitation to build without pressure. An invitation to rest without guilt. An invitation to define your life beyond reaction. Many people rush to fill that space because silence feels unfamiliar. But this space is where clarity deepens. It is where vision stabilizes. It is where you begin to choose your future instead of merely escaping your past. Chosen one. This is the season where your inner language matters more than external outcomes. You are learning to speak to yourself differently. You no longer narrate your life through lack. You no longer anticipate disappointment by default. You no longer assume that good things require immediate sacrifice. That internal shift is not optimism, it is alignment. Alignment allows things to remain. You are also stepping into a new relationship with time. Time no longer feels like an enemy you are racing against. You no longer feel chronically behind. You understand now that some delays were protective, not punitive. That some waiting preserved you. That some doors closing prevented deeper loss. This understanding does not romanticize pain, it contextualizes it. And context brings peace. Peace does not erase memory, but it softens its grip. There may be moments when memories surface unexpectedly. A face, a moment, a decision, a loss. When that happens, do not interpret it as regression. Memory surfacing in a safe season is part of integration. Your mind is processing what it could not process while surviving. Let it pass through without judgment. It does not need to be resolved again. It is being released. You are also learning how to receive without explanation. Compliments no longer make you uncomfortable. Support no longer makes you suspicious. Opportunity no longer feels like a trap. This does not mean you are naive. It means you are no longer conditioned to expect harm from every opening. Discernment remains, but fear no longer leads. That distinction is crucial. Fear scans for danger. Discernment listens for alignment. You are listening now. There is a quiet confidence forming in how you move through the world. You don't announce it. You don't defend it. You don't need validation for it. It is simply present. People may notice it before you do. They may respond differently. Some may feel unsettled by it, not because you are doing anything wrong, but because grounded authority exposes instability around it. That is not your responsibility to manage. Your responsibility now is stewardship. Stewardship of peace. Stewardship of clarity. Stewardship of restored capacity. You are learning that rest is not something you earn after productivity. It is something you protect, so productivity remains healthy. You are learning that saying no is not rejection, it is direction. You are learning that you do not need to explain your boundaries for them to be valid. These are signs of maturation, not distance. This season may feel quieter than the one you imagined when you prayed for restoration. That is because chaos is loud, but alignment is calm. Chaos demands attention. Alignment sustains life, and sustained life is the real testimony. Chosen one. What was taken from you did not define you, but what was restored will refine you. Not into someone harder, but into someone clearer. Not into someone guarded, but into someone grounded. Not into someone driven by fear, but into someone guided by wisdom. You are not waiting for justice anymore. You are living after it. And living after justice feels different. It feels spacious. It feels intentional. It feels stable. It feels like you can finally look forward without bracing. Remain here. Remain present. Let what has been corrected stay corrected. Let what has been restored stay restored. Let what has ended remain ended. This is not the absence of struggle. This is the presence of authority. And authority once established does not need to shout. It simply stands. Chosen one. As this word comes to a close, let your spirit rest in what has already been set in motion. This is not a moment of wishing or waiting. This is a moment of alignment. Heaven has already spoken, and the transfer you've been believing for is no longer pending, it is unfolding. You are standing in your Kairos time, your divinely appointed window, where what was delayed is now being released with precision. Anointed One, remain anchored in faith. Guard your thoughts, guard your words. Do not measure what is happening by what you see in the natural, because the transaction has already been completed in the spirit. What was taken from you is being returned, multiplied and purified for purpose. Walk forward with gratitude, not anxiety, expectation, not fear, confidence, not doubt. May peace settle over your mind. May clarity guide your decisions. May wisdom prepare you to steward what is coming with integrity and grace. You are not being restored to return to survival. You are being restored to become a blessing, a carrier of provision, a testimony of divine justice. If this word bears witness with your spirit, you may quietly seal it by writing 777 in the comments as agreement and share where you are listening from as a declaration that heaven's justice meets you exactly where you stand. Stay aligned, stay faithful, stay grateful. The transfer is in motion, the season has shifted, and what comes next will confirm everything your spirit already knows.